Honestly, why are we doing CrossFit at all? That's what this Reddit user has to say, and I think that they really have a point. Why do CrossFit at all? There's a post below with a guy looking for cardio advice, and everyone says do more cardio outside of class. Often when people look for advice on building strength, everyone says train strength outside of class. If not doing CrossFit is the best way to get good at CrossFit, then what are we doing? Why not just train strength and cardio, maybe show up for the open or whatever? It feels like a WOD is a test, but you have to study for the test, do cardio and strength in brackets at home. CrossFit just seems like doing test after test, hoping to learn that way. Am I missing something out here? And actually they're so right, because every single time I've asked to get better at anything during the 8 years that I've done CrossFit, the answer has been do gymnastics outside of CrossFit, do cardio outside of CrossFit. I mean, I came into CrossFit with pretty big strength numbers, so that's not been something that I needed to work on, but I have, like with my Olympic weightlifting, I did that outside of CrossFit. It is the generic advice. Some of the people below are saying it depends on your goals. If you just want to be healthier and live a better lifestyle, then classes will be enough. But if you want to do local competitions and do well in them, then extra work will be needed. And while I agree with this comment, and they are right, it is definitely good enough for just fitness and enjoyment and for mental health reasons and the many reasons why people do CrossFit. But if you do want to progress in any area, you'll often be given that advice that you need to do something in open gym. And I would argue that it's not just people for competitions. Say pull-ups comes up in the open and you want to get better at pull-ups to get there, often doing the stuff in classes won't be enough. And that's the whole reason why I sell programs made for larger bodied athletes like me to help get them their first strict pull-up, because the scaled options in CrossFit classes are not enough. Doing ring rows over and over again in a CrossFit class is not going to get you strict pull-ups. And I know people are going to say that's not what CrossFit gyms should be programming. They should be programming progressions for pull-ups. And while yes, they definitely should be, often this will only be 1 day a week. At most, maybe for a 6-week cycle if you're lucky. And then after that, they go back to a squat cycle or something else. There's too much in CrossFit to focus on, and that's why if you want to get better at a specific area or a specific movement, you need something like open gym or like an add-on program like mine. You need to do more work outside of CrossFit to get to that goal. And I think that's partly to do with the fact that there's just so much. And then the other part is that the scaled options, I feel like, are not progressive often to the RX movements. You have people that will stay scaled in most movements for the whole time that they do CrossFit and feel like they're never progressing. And that is an issue in itself. And then we've also got this recent study by WOD Science where they studied the difference between like hybrid training, which is typically like a split doing endurance and strength training separately, and CrossFit where you do the strength and the endurance WOD style stuff in the same class, trying to work out which is more effective. Basically, the hybrid method of training more separately was the most effective model. And some people love to argue that some CrossFit gyms do train in this way, but having been to a lot of CrossFit gyms, I've been to most of the gyms in my area in Cornwall, and there's probably about 10 of them, and pretty much all of them most of the time do a strength or skill portion and then a WOD. And that is just the format that CrossFit does. That's just how it's been this whole time. So you might want to argue that that's not the proper way of doing it, but that is the way that most gyms are doing it. And this study shows that it is not actually the most effective way. And as the guy on Reddit says, the advice you get when you want to progress in something from both coaches and on CrossFit Reddit or wherever you get your information, it's always you need to do extras outside of classes, work harder in open gym. And then there's also this strange culture around CrossFit. We have the fitness in 100 words, and you're supposed to be able to use your fitness to do other sports. But then previously when I've done like triathlon or open water swimming or road cycling, I really got into road cycling a couple of years ago. Absolutely loved it. My endurance was insane and I felt the most fit that I'd ever felt because I was doing road cycling on top of CrossFit. But I got a lot of shame and a lot of people not happy with what I was doing because I was being unfocused, because I was going outside of CrossFit. I was doing other stuff to work on my endurance and just other stuff that I enjoyed. That wasn't the right thing to do apparently. If I want to work on my endurance, then I need to be doing it like in classes, or I need to be doing it in open gym for some reason. I don't know why there is this weird culture. But when I was doing my first triathlon, when I was doing all the road cycling and the swimming, I felt the fittest I had ever felt. And I had been doing CrossFit for quite a substantial time. The difference was I was going out for cycles for like 1 to 2 hours. I was doing long distance swims and my endurance was better than ever, and I was going into classes and finding everything really easy. And that's because I already had the strength base, and at that time I had relatively decent gymnastics. My gymnastics has never been amazing. I've never been able to do like 15 muscle ups in a row. I could definitely do a fair amount back in the day. That's not my focus anymore. Everything else, and actually probably my gymnastics was better as well because my endurance was better, therefore my gymnastics improved. So I got better at CrossFit by not doing CrossFit, which is confusing. My personal issue with doing classes all the time, and that is something that I do a lot of classes, I enjoy classes, but over the last year, especially in like the 6 to 8 months before I got pregnant, where I was just focusing on trying to keep myself healthy and reducing stress and not trying to go for like maximal intensity all the time, I just did classes. And I always find when I just do classes that I gain strength. My endurance, my fitness kind of stays about the same. My gymnastics gets worse. And I also often tend to gain a lot of muscle, and like my squats go up, my deadlifts go up, my clean and jerks go up, my snatches go up, all of my lifts go up. Moving a dumbbell feels easier, but I don't feel like I'm getting fitter. To the point where even during pregnancy, I was using RX weights in the workouts and still like finishing first in the classes. But I personally felt nowhere near that level of fitness that I did before when I was doing triathlon. And I've been having this like internal battle for years, feeling like I want to get fitter. And because of the narrative that CrossFit tells us that it is a really good way to get fit, I just think doing more CrossFit is going to get me fitter. But actually, I don't think that's true anymore. And I'm really happy this post was brought to my attention because it articulates it so well. Most workouts in CrossFit classes don't go over the 20-minute mark. Yeah, we have some that go over 30. Yeah, there's stuff like Murph, but they're not doing those a lot of the time. They come up maybe once every couple of weeks, once a week. Sometimes they have like specific endurance classes, which I really enjoy, but not all CrossFit gyms do that. There isn't a big cardio focus. And for the general population, for things like heart health and just general fitness, endurance and cardio is really important. This person puts it quite well. CrossFit is more than enough for the typical person to get fit, but often people start getting competitive and want more. CrossFit is not the best way to get strong or build cardio or become proficient at the Olympic lifts, gymnastics, etc. If each of those things becomes its own objective, competitive CrossFit and CrossFit are not the same. And I would agree with that, but I think people that are doing the Open need to know that, because the Open is technically a competitive competition, but if we present it as this thing that everybody can do, then they're going to want to get their first pull up or first muscle up or first handstand push up or max out their deadlift or lift heavier so that they can do the RX weights. And I find, having been to a lot of CrossFit gyms, you get people that have been in CrossFit for a long time and they're starting to get frustrated that they're not progressing in all of the things, and they know full well that they need to stop going to classes and do Open gym to get better at X, Y, and Z, but they want to do classes because that's what they love. So there's this massive disconnect. And I think this is where the tide is turning a little bit. And I myself am breaking up with CrossFit. Again, I've done this before, and previously I did an Olympic weightlifting cycle and competed in that. But this time, what I'm gonna do, and what I am doing, is I've shifted my goals completely away from CrossFit. I don't necessarily want to be good at CrossFit anymore. In fact, I haven't had a goal to be good at CrossFit for years. I've just been doing it for fun, and my focus has been on my ED recovery and trying to just like exercise again and not see it as a punishment and not constantly be striving to get better and better and punish myself with it. And I'm there now. I now love fitness again, and I don't punish myself with it, and I don't try and hurt myself in a WOD by going too hard. And I did really well through pregnancy, moderating my intensity so that my baby was absolutely okay. And I'm really proud of myself that I could moderate my intensity, because that took a lot of work to get to that point. But now my interests have shifted, and I've done high rocks events before, but I want to do another high rocks because I feel like It was really fun and really exciting. It's over within a couple of hours, so that perfectly fits in with me now being a new mum. I also feel like Hyrox and hybrid training gets you closer to the kind of general fitness that the general population want, which maybe doesn't include the complex gymnastics and the heavy Olympic lifts. I've now got absolutely no interest in getting back my 185 kilo deadlift, my 100 kilo clean and jerk, any of that. I don't care about that anymore. It would be nice, and I think I have retained quite a lot of strength because I thrusted 75 kilos the other day and I'm only 11 weeks postpartum at this point. But that's not my goal, and I'm going to try my hardest to let go of the strength numbers and focus more on this kind of hybrid style training and fitness. And that doesn't mean that I'm stopping CrossFit completely. I am doing 2 to 3 CrossFit classes a week, and then I'm doing a Hyrox session, at least one Hyrox session, maybe 2 Hyrox sessions, and then I'm also doing couch to 5k. I've started running. I'm absolutely loving running, and I love kind of long distance cardio anyway. I love machines. Pre-pregnancy, I built up to doing a 10k row, which is really funny because people like to say that I'm not fit, but I mean, my time's pretty good for my 10k. In comparison to like strength training and training for gymnastics, I feel at my best and I enjoy it the most when I have that level of cardiovascular fitness. And I love being outside as well. And running is a really easy one to fit in when you're a parent, because you can just go out for a run for 30 minutes, just like outside where you live. And I've got a dog, and the dog needs walking, so she may as well come for a run with me. And me and my partner have an agreement where we will just cover for each other. So it's absolutely perfect timing. And I'm really excited about going on that journey. I also have my first hybrid competition soon. Well, I mean, Hyrox is a hybrid competition, but like, aside from Hyrox, it's like not a CrossFit competition. It's called the Hybrid Games, and there's like 3 lifts and 3 running events. And the furthest run is like 1,200 meters. So like four 400 meter laps, so 1,600. And then it's got like a 100 meter sprint and a 400 meter sprint. I love sprinting anyway, that'll be fine. But obviously I've literally just had a baby, so we'll see. The long distance one is the one that's gonna be hard for me, but hopefully by then I'll be able to run consistently for that amount of time. Couch to 5k programming is like intervals based, so at the moment I'm running for 90 seconds in one go, so it's not a huge amount. But obviously I've got to make sure that my pelvic floor and everything is okay. I don't want to be going too hard. And I feel like personally, with everything that's been going on in the CrossFit space lately, I'm not feeling as great about it. I don't agree with a lot of what's gone on. I think the CrossFit community, like the online space specifically, is super toxic, super horrible. And like lately people have been having a go at me because apparently I'm not fit, which is mad if you think about the level of fitness I have, their opinion of all of those regular people in the gym. If people in the CrossFit community are hating on me and being horrible to me because they think that I'm not fit, and I RX a lot of workouts, not the ones with this complex gymnastics, but like a lot of the workouts, and I finish at the top end of the class in a lot of the workouts, what must they think of all the other people, of the masters athletes, of the people that are just starting, of the larger bodied athletes, the people that are recovering from EDs like me, people that have come back from sickness and illness that maybe have a lower level of fitness. If they are horrible about me because they think that I'm not fit, despite the fact that I am, what must they think of the everyday person? People that do CrossFit classes definitely have a higher level of fitness than the general population, and I absolutely recommend it if that's what you want to do and you enjoy the in-person community. But the space as a whole, at the moment, I don't have great feelings about it. And I definitely have better feelings about Hyrox, the hybrid space, and everything that goes with that. And I feel like for me, that's going to lead to a better rounded fitness that's going to function better for my life and for growing up with my daughter and being able to run around after her. Those are my goals now. So for me, why do CrossFit at all? I still like the community, so I'm still going to do bits and bobs here and there. But if you're just doing classes, don't feel massive amounts of pressure to improve in all of the areas all at once. And if you do want to improve in specific areas, just know that you will need to do extra work outside of class, and that's pretty normal. CrossFit classes are not necessarily going to get you better at CrossFit, which is weird, but it's true. I spoke a little bit about the CrossFit community and why I think that it sucks. If you want to hear a little bit more about that, then watch this video next. I actually speak to my audience and hear what they think. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.